Hey, everybody. Welcome back to That's the Key podcast. So, we are in the studio today with our second guest, Miss Lillian Prince. Welcome to the studio. So, Lillian is a number one Amazon debut selling author for her book, 10 Days Later. She's been featured in Essence Magazine. She is the owner of the new greeting card line, Pen to Perfection, real estate agent, mommy,
Things.
a little bit of a scary Mary. We'll talk about that in a second though. A little bit of a scary Mary. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you too. So we'll talk about that first. So I'll let everybody know you do all the cool things, but you're also a scary girl. And I did not know that until recently. So everybody can know how I met Lillian through we have a mutual friend. Okay. And I've known Lillian for years
Mhm.
at this point, right? But I'm just finding out that we have a friend who's also a scary Mary who is scared of everything and is very sweet, very nice, and asks for all the things, right? So I was out with Lillian at an event with this same friend, and I discovered I'm talking about her like, yeah, she's always acting scary, asking people for permission to do everything. And here comes Lillian, and she's a scary Mary too. Why are you a scary Mary, Lillian?
Listen, as you're acting like we're asking for permission for things that we should not be asking for permission for. Just, just normal, basic, excuse me, can I get through here? Let's make way, those sort of things. Those are normal. I don't think that categorizes us as scary. I think that just makes us very polite people.
Extremely polite, sometimes too polite. But it's cool. I guess it's better to be a polite girl than a nasty girl. But sometimes those niceties, y'all take those niceties a little bit far, but I love that for you. You have so many great things going on in your life. So
Thank
we're
you.
gonna talk
Thank
about the book.
you.
We're gonna talk about our thing. But the number one thing that I was most disappointed about was that I was sure we were gonna come on here and talk about 90 Day Fiance and Let Out the Lockup because I assume you to be like, you're the relationship girl. You write the things. So I thought you will watch the good reality shows about relationships. So I need you to commit to watching one of those shows going forward so we can talk about them. Okay.
Okay, got it. Got it. Sometimes I
Do you ever
catch
watch
the
Pop the
clip.
Balloon?
See, some stuff is just too outrageous for me, and it makes me so mad. Every time I watch Pop the Balloon, it is some oddly shaped man saying why he doesn't want some very beautiful woman who is already out of his league, and he's being absolutely insane. And I can't even imagine what that does to your psyche to walk out and hear all of these balloons popping because somebody has decided just off of your physical appearance that they don't wanna date you. Mm-mm. It the
So, full
Mhm.
disclosure, I want to go on that show. Okay. I watch it all the
Really?
time. And they keep saying, like, send an email if you want to get on there. And so I'm highly thinking about doing it because, okay, the show is
Let me hear
absolutely
this. Why
ridiculous, right? But I think the key to it is you have to just be ready with a really good insult, but your insult can't sound hurt, right? If you, everybody that wins on that show, because it's true, they do be dogging people. Sometimes the girls look really, really good, right? They be bomb and they find a reason to pop that balloon and they always have something ridiculous to say, right? But when you
Mhm.
respond and you
Mhm.
sound nasty and hurt, then you lose. But if you know how to respond and be slick and like unbothered, you win because everybody sees that you look good on, that nothing's wrong with you. But if you know how to like, you gotta know how to jump, you gotta know how to clap back without being angry. And I think I could do that.
Gotcha. See, I
So
haven't mastered
it's
that,
not
and
off the
I would
table for me
give
yet.
okay, well, listen,
It's
I'll be tuned in if you go on, but I could not do a show like that because I would be up there ready to fight. I would be done jumped on somebody as soon as they say something too crazy, so, mm-mm.
and that's why you can't go on because then you look mad and you only win on
Exactly,
that show if
uh-huh.
you're unbothered. But some people, they really do be winning. Like some people, they got a couple couples that stay together. They have far more that have not, but they got
Yeah, I'm
Drew Love
sure.
on there.
But there's so many different variations of the show now. They had the actual show that was on like Netflix, and then there are like all these sort of like
But that was
knockoff sort of
terrible.
versions. The one on Netflix,
Mhm.
I heard that
It was real
wasn't that
bad.
that great.
Do you know who the girl is that actually, like, who the Pop the Balloon girl is? Like, where did she come from?
The one who does it on YouTube,
Huh?
I know who she is, but I don't know why they didn't pick her to do the Netflix show.
Yeah. Huh. We'll put a pin in that, but all that to say, at some point, there's a good chance that I may be on
That
Pop the
you'll be on
Balloon.
there. Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha.
For sure. Okay. So 10 days later, let's talk about that. Would you consider yourself a dating expert?
Don't know if I would say dating expert. I think that I have had a lot of dates and I've had a lot of experience dating, right? But everybody is so different. Times have changed. I wrote that book 10 years ago now. So and even when I wrote the book, the dates were from like 5 to 10 years prior to the book coming out. So much has changed. Every situation is different, but I do feel like just because I've had so much experience dating, I've met so many different kinds of men and whatever, like I can share a fresh perspective, right? When someone comes to me and says like X, Y, and Z is happening. And I can say, well, listen, I've sort of dealt with that before, or this is a new one, but I can just kind of share, just what I've experienced. So I don't know. I feel like if I deem myself an expert, somebody gonna be like, "She don't know everything," but I just feel like I've had enough experience to share my insight.
Absolutely. So that being said, we're definitely going to get into your happily ever after again. But before we go there,
Okay.
what I was thinking about when I was looking over it, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that like you wrote this book so long ago. Do you get tired of talking about this book at this point?
No, no, because that was my baby. I was so excited to write that book, and I've always, ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to write a book. I've always wanted to be an author. Always wanted to like go down that career path, and I think just with my personality of just like being open and honest all the time. Like, so those two, it just merged together. Like, I was always dating. I was always having these like meeting these ridiculous people, having these outlandish experiences. And, I would like write them down, whether I was writing a note to one of my girlfriends to kind of just tell her what happened or my diary, whatever. And so I was able to compile those stories into a book. Um, and because of like the platform that it put me on, the stages that it put me on, I'll never get tired of talking about it. My life has changed so much since the book, but that's still my like first baby that was so close to my heart.
Okay. So we want to dive into the book a little bit. First things first. Tell me about. I know there's a lot of worst dates, right? Let's talk
Hmm.
about your what was your worst date from that point to now? Is it still the same one? Has there been a worse one since the book has come out? Talk about what Tell us about your absolute worst date of all the dates.
You know what? I was thinking about it this morning. I mean, I think the one that will always reign supreme is the guy who kicked the back of the girl's chair when we were in the movie theater. He was so crazy. But I was thinking about, there was a funny story that never made it to the book because it was so short. I met this guy. I want to say I think I met him like I was driving and he was in the car next to me, and he said something and we like exchanged numbers, whatever. So we had talked a couple of times, and then he shared that he had just come home from jail. And I was like, "Oh, okay. No problem, no judgment here. You like, whatever." And then when I asked him what he had done, it was like murder or something. I remember it was something that like caused me to like gasp, like when he told me. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, all right. Well, listen, are you going to be there? Because I'm going to call you back." It's like very give me 10 minutes and I'm gonna call you back. And I never talked to him again. But I felt like I just always came across these just like, and I would like talk to my friends, and nobody else was having the same experience that I was having. Nobody else was like nothing was this outrageous. So I mean, it just felt like I just needed to share it all in a book.
So my definitely, I don't know if it was the worst date, but it's definitely the thing that I remember the most, and the most apparent reason why could never go on a second date with this gentleman. So I just very specifically remember we were driving on 295 and we were passing Paradise. I can remember all the moments 'cause I'm sitting in the passenger seat and the
Hmm.
song "Look at Me Now." You know that song by Chris Brown and Busta Rhymes.
Yes.
"Look at Me Now." Busta
Hmm.
Rhymes starts um rapping really fast on that
Real
song.
fast.
Well, this
Uh-huh.
gentleman in the car, first date, he proceeds to rap that whole song from Chris Brown's beginning to Busta Rhymes' end. And I don't know if that's an unnaturally unnaturally petty reason to be bothered with somebody, but there's no place in this world that you can sing. I want you to really think about that song. It has it has hard breaths in it. It's very fast. It's a lot going on. And there's a young man sitting next to me rapping every word from beginning
Singing
to
his heart
end.
out.
It was not impressive. It was offensive. And at that point, I wanted to phone a friend because I can't even look at you no more. Like I cannot look at you. I just
Oh,
watched you do this whole concert in the car. So that was probably my most cringy. I don't know. Probably was a really nice guy. Couldn't tell you, but I couldn't hear anything after I heard that song. So I couldn't even tell you where we went after that. I don't even remember what the date was because I was absolutely down out at that point. So
one of
yeah.
my most I would have to say one of my most cringy, like one of those type of moments was I went to dinner with this guy and it wasn't anywhere fancy. I want to say we were in college. So we went to like I want to say Chili's and we had both ordered
Come on, Chili's.
I want to say that I ordered a strawberry lemonade. If I'm not mistaken, this gentleman act like it was his first time ever hearing a strawberry lemon. Like it was something so bizarre that I was like, "What do you mean you've never had strawberry?" And so the waiter, who was a friend of mine, brought us the lemonade. And I remember, and I'm not lying to you, I went over and like I was sitting on a booth. I leaned over in the booth to do something, maybe to like get something out of my purse. When I came back, he had drank the entire lemonade. He crushed like 10 strawberry lemon. When I came up, I looked and the lemonade was gone. And I was like, he's really never had strawberry. Like, this is a new thing. He was like, this is really good. And I'm sure it was like free refills. And so he had like 10 might be a stretch, but I know it was at least 5. And I remember being like, yeah, nah. Even in college when I didn't have much at all, I just remember being like, you should have had a strawberry lemonade at some point in time in your life. And I am not gonna be the one responsible for introducing you to every single thing. But yeah, so that's probably one of those cringy moments where no, we didn't make it to date number 2.
You might have been his good thing. You was helping him find a good thing, and then you was not impressed by his drink selection. That is offensive. Okay, so then, and I've got some of these from the book, y'all. So if y'all go to the book, and there's some great discussion questions at the end if you want some things to talk about. If you want to add this for your book club, the most ridiculous lie that you've ever been told, and what's the most ridiculous lie that you, in fact, yourself have told dating?
Okay. The most ridiculous lie someone ever told me. Okay, so I remember, oh gosh, this guy that I was dating, and he had a bunch of tattoos. Like, and I love tattoos. He had tattoos everywhere. And I remember seeing him and he had this new tattoo and I cannot remember what. Let's just make up a name. Let's say it said Sharon, right? And so when I asked him like, "Oh, who is?" and he was like, "Oh, that's my goddaughter," right? And he had so many tattoos that it was kind of like I didn't even question it because like I mean he could have got the mailman tattoo. Like that's how many he had. It just was like I know all of these don't make sense or mean something. So we were at his house one day, and, like, still that he still lived at home, and so his mom's friend stopped by. And I remember this old lady, like she was so mean to me. Like she was just nasty, right? Like he introduced me or whatever. And I just remember thinking, why would this lady be, you know what I mean? Like, why is this lady being so nasty and short? So anyway, I remember asking him about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, she just nasty like that. Don't worry about her, blah blah blah." Anyway, long story short, ended up going out the next weekend, and again, this is like DMV. It's small town. Like everybody knows everybody. Everybody's connected in some way. So me and my girlfriend were on U Street, and we ran into some friends of ours who are also friends of his. And so we were talking, and I said something about like going out with him. And the guy said, "Oh, he was like," and that I'm thinking about it, like maybe he was not hating, but maybe he just wanted me to know. He was like, "You talking about so and so that just had a baby?" And I was like, "No, that he didn't have no baby." And as he's saying it, I said, "By chance, is the baby's name Sharon?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah." He was like, "He just had."
Oh, don't nobody name no
So
baby
now,
Sharon.
so now, well, no, I can't remember what the baby's name was, and to protect the baby, I just won't even say. But that's the tattoo that I saw, and so, and now that and then when I was like playing it back, I'm thinking like his family, his mom's best friend, like whoever, they all knew that he had just had this baby, and now here I am showing up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
All
assuming that's
fast in the
why
pants.
that's why this lady is being very nasty with me, like, like, "Well, what are you doing here?" And he just had this baby, blah,
Cause
blah.
you anything. Why
So,
are you over here? And this man just had a whole new baby. You over here at his house.
Miss Carolyn, I
The
had no
baby mama was
idea.
probably
So
there the
I
day
do.
before.
That poor girl, yeah, he was a mess. He was a mess. So yeah, that's probably the worst lie that anybody has ever told me. The worst one I've ever told somebody, Keon, girl, please, I don't lie. I can't think of anything that I've ever had to.
Me too.
I
Like, no, I really
mean,
don't
girl,
lie. I'm not a liar, and
I am an
I
angel.
don't
Are
ever
you
care
kidding
about
me?
stuff enough to lie like that. Like stuff like that to me, it's just like I don't do anything that I have to lie about. Like at
Hmm.
probably at this big age. I don't know that I was ever a liar in relationships. I probably lied about some other stuff, but I ain't never been no lying girl. But I did get catfished real
Right.
bad by this dude. The worst kind of catfish. The only thing that was real about him was the picture. So it was an online dating situation. This had to have been like 7 years ago. Couldn't go through all the things of how many things he was wrong with, but we were having a great time. I mean, he looked so great. He was so fine, 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 little fine. And we was hanging out, having a great time, all the things. One night, the fast gets forward, and I find out, like, I'm texting him, and the response is, I'm laying in the bed with my wife, and I'm all, ha, 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 key. Like, I'm thinking he's joking because we just left. Like, we've been hanging out every day. We've been hanging out late all these nights, all this type of stuff, going to dinner, burning down the stores, burning down the restaurants, hanging out in the car, like doing all the things that you do when you're like, dating somebody, getting to know somebody. But this one day, he ended up going home because I told him I was tired. Like, you gotta go home today. We're not gonna hang out today. You're gonna go home. We're not going nowhere. Well, I guess
Okay.
it was his time to check in. And wifey said, "You've been out long enough. I got to look through that phone." So long story short, I guess she just deletes the message because the next day he hits me up like everything is normal. So I'm like, oh, he must do this all the time because she didn't even argue with him about it. I found out this man
Hmm.
done told me everything he told me was a lie. Cause the last thing she said in the text message that cause she's like, yeah, I know you probably fucking my husband and da da da. And I'm like, I'm not, but also chill out, not too much on me. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, and his name's not even Chris or Charles, whatever he said his name was. She was like, yeah, and his name's not even da da da. Girl, if I told you what I went through over the next few weeks to figure out who he really was, all that to say, I saw him on the T app. He was on the T app. He was on the T app this year in 2025. Well, 2025, still doing the
Still
same
cutting up.
things. He told me he was in the military. The man was in prison, all of them. He was in all the prisons. He went to all the jails. When he has all the, when I looked him up on Craig, once I found out his real name and looked that man up on K search, God's protection. God's protection because I'm hanging out at all these places, sitting in all these cars with this man.
Mm.
And he done did everything. He done did everything. And then when I look on the T app, everybody's story was kind of the same, but he's just like increasingly more violent, increasingly more like all the things. Like,
Oh
you ain't get no money
God.
from me, but the girls are talking about the money they spent and all the kids, because he told me he had no kids either. I love that he did. He had plenty of kids and a wife. So but all I just say, I don't
Gosh.
lie. I don't
Mm,
tell no
okay.
lies.
They
What
tell
you say?
enough for us. We don't even have to.
Yeah. No. The list. So the must-have list. How do you feel about that? So I know that was a big thing. So we all of us had those lists at one time, right? In some form and fashion. And I think we've all changed our preferences. So how do you feel about do you still think that's something relevant? Like how does that change over time and in dating as you're in your 40s now versus like when you were younger? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely changes because your outlook on life changes, your priorities change, things that I think some very like surface level, shallow things that mattered before don't always matter 15, 20 years later. So I mean, I'm not dating now. I'm married, but um yeah, that list that I had before I got married was a lot different than the list that I had when I was like in my early 20s and searching for what, was my idea of perfection and all the things that I thought were important when they really weren't. You know what I mean? Like, I think if I can even remember, I mean, I'm sure I was like, he got to be tall. He got to, um, I know tall was on there. I cannot remember everything, but I'm just sure it was just a lot of things that like after you live a little, you experience a lot, and it's kind of like, yeah, I want him to be kind, and I want him to be stable, and I want him to have a lot of emotional intelligence, and I want him to have a good relationship with his friends and family. Things that matter, things that speak to his character. That I think at 20 you don't even realize how important it is, because like at 20, I think depending on where you are in life, you just want to get married, right? You just like, there's just no stopping that desire, you just want this happily ever after, and you don't really factor in that, like, you need more than love. Like, you can really, really love a person and they're not the right person for you for a myriad of other reasons of things that you don't even consider in your 20s. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I will
Mhm.
hope that for everyone who has had a list at 20, when they look at that same list at 40, that it has evolved a lot. That's no different than like, if you're on Facebook and you see how they pop up, like they'll post the like memories, and I'll see some statuses that I wrote 15, 20 years ago and be like, oh girl, shut up. It's like so ridiculous. But
What
you've
was you
just
doing?
changed so much. Life has happened. You've grown and all these things. Yeah, I think I know a 40-year-old list would be a lot different than 20-year-old list.
So in that vein, what relationship advice or dating advice would you give to the girls in our age bracket? Let's call it 35 and up, and then maybe like the
Okay.
21s to 35. What advice do you have for those girls?
Girl, 21 to 30, 21, I'm like, girl, I hope you're not trying to get married. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I know that there are people who are like high school sweethearts and, it just and sometimes it does work. But I think that everyone should experience life. And that doesn't necessarily mean sleep with a bunch of people or whatever, but I think you should experience life. I think you should be able to have a life of freedom where you can like explore all the things you want to do, both like professionally, spiritually. Like, you really need to get to know yourself, right? And all these things sound really cliche until you're in your 40s and you haven't done it. And so it's like, even when I meet people, like when I meet young girls and they're like, they want to get married, they're 23, 24, I don't, I don't even try to, I would never try to change their mind. but I know what that's like to be in that space and you just want to get married. There's nothing that I could say that is going to make you reconsider, right? Because you want it so, so bad. It just comes with like experience and life. I think if I was talking to somebody 35 and up, I would say it is important to be with someone who you really like. And I would not say love because I mean, I would have to imagine that all religions tell us to love our neighbor and to, you have to love people. It does not say you have to like people. And so I think it is important that,
Mhm.
like, no matter what comes or goes, good times, bad times, like, that you still enjoy just being in their space, that you enjoy being around them, that you enjoy talking to them and hanging out with them because life is not always full of like big exciting moments. There's a lot more of like just sitting around the house trying to figure out what to do with the kids, trying to like manage just like day to day. And like you want to be with someone who you just enjoy being in their space. You know what I mean? I think and at 40, like you want somebody who is financially stable, somebody who is not, especially if you've worked hard and you've created some sort of um just like a comfortable life for
Lifestyle.
yourself. You want someone, yeah, comfortable lifestyle. You want someone who's able to add to that. Certainly not someone who's going to take away from it. And even if they don't make as much money as you do, they should just be good with money. They should know how to save what they do have. Like those are the sorts of things that you think about. And at 40, like 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, he's probably going to have children. What's his relationship like with his children? What's his relationship like with his child's mother? I've dated guys before and they'll come right off the bat like, man, that bit, that. I'm like, oh, You know what I mean? Like, yes, there
So
are some
deal.
situations where the woman might be a little outrageous or there's some hurt and stuff there, but I don't I would rather be with someone where we can, if that's the situation, let's all be able to coexist, right? Because at 40, nobody has the time or the energy to be arguing with your baby's mother about your very grown children. You know what I mean? Like those sorts of things. Yeah, someone
Mhm.
who you really like, someone who adds peace to your life. Those are the things that I think are important at 35, 35 and up.
That's good. I say that all the time. Love versus like. Like I'm easy to love on paper, right? But do you like me? Like I love people just because that's your heart. Like you have love in your heart. I feel like hate is such a heavy thing to
Mhm,
carry. I don't think it's hard to love, but it's very difficult to like
mhm,
people. And I think that's a very
mhm.
I think that's a good point. Like everybody always so caught up on that emotion of love, but it's like, but do you like me? Do you want to sit down and talk to me? Do you want to spend some time with me? Like I think that's a big one that people forsake.
Mhm.
But I did wanna, read a couple of funny things out of the book. This book so
Okay,
also, y'all, but the thing about cooking and the thing about everything on this show, right? When I think about sitting down and having my kikis with the girlies, I think about when that moment or the things where I get to connect with people, and I feel like I see the part of them that maybe everyone doesn't always see or doesn't always know, right? And almost 10
okay,
times out of 10, find out that people are sneaky hilarious, right? Everybody that I like is funny, and I don't know why I feel like all the best people gatekeep their personalities, and people do not get to know that you're absolutely unhinged until you, like, really get into it, right? So there's 2 ways that I know
mhm.
that you are unhinged. The book is so funny, it is written so well, and it's like, clearly you're a writer, right?
Oh,
But the funniness of the
mhm.
things in the book, sure threads. Your threads, your comments on threads, your responses specifically to people on threads, top tier. I'm gonna make sure we drop it in the description box, and I'll give you a chance to give all your social media so
My
people can
God.
follow you. But once she gives it, y'all, please make sure y'all go follow her because Lillian says anything on the internet, and I love it. But I thought about a couple of anything she says in the book. It literally starts with you talking about working at Bank of America, okay? And this was the most when I tell you this was the most PG County black girl in college coded beginning I've ever read. I don't know a black girl from this area who went to school who doesn't have bad blood with Bank of America, okay? We all I don't know, it got to be searched why Bank of America and the HBCUs got that thing going on, baby, because you started talking
Uh-huh.
about how you worked at Bank of America, and specifically the fact that I was employed there was so ironic, considering that Bank of America had hit me with every $35 overdraft fee possible since I'd opened my first checking account. Thanks to their no BS with a smile policies and my poor money management skills in college, I'd eaten more $37 Snicker bars and $43 Happy Meals than I'd like to admit. And that's a hard stop. There's more, but that's a hard stop, right? And it's just in those moments, I just want people to understand that's that's the quality of writing that people know. Because then I understand the girl that you are. I understand where you were in life at that point. Because I too worked at the bank. That was my first job out of college. I worked at Chevy Chase. And they were $35 fees. I feel like they got higher. Like, I used to get so many overdraft fees, like, when I was, like, freshman and sophomore year. I literally remember calling up Bank of America and them telling me, like, "You have to understand you have, like, a fake balance and a real balance." And now, again, we're aging ourselves because these are the debit card versus check card years, right? Because remember, there used to be just a thing that was just a debit
Mhm.
card that you can get, like, money out of certain
Right.
places with your PIN. And then they got that Visa check card that they love to sell us. They love to tell us that about the convenience of that Visa check card, but they did not, in fact, tell us that there's a fake balance and a real balance. And why I will be
And a real
calling
balance.
you on Friday night, Bank of America, for a fake balance, I don't know. But when I call here, give me the real damn balance and don't give me no fake balance because I'm counting on I got to go outside tonight and I only have $47 in my account right now, according to you. But
My
no, I
gosh.
only had $2, but you let me spend it till it was
Uh-huh.
negative $100, you know? So that was my first little piece of, we love Lillian, and this is gonna be a really good book.
Gosh.
Do you still say, "What the cuss is this?" Do you still say cuss? Okay, y'all, so y'all can understand what's going on. I really want y'all to go get this book still. It's still being sold, and y'all can still
Kiana,
get it.
I'm
But she put this
screaming. Oh
thing
my gosh.
and I get this, right? Especially now, this tracks well for us in our 40s because sometimes we cuss too much and you want to figure out a way not to cuss. So she said instead of saying the cuss word, instead of saying what the F, she would say what the cuss is this. And I'm just curious, where are you at in your quitting cussing scenarios? How you know with that? How's it going?
Things are going well. I tend to do a mixture of both, but that was one of my New Year's resolutions to stop cussing. It mainly happens in traffic, driving. People drive so crazy. But yes, that is something that my mother used to do growing up. Like, she was in the church. And so obviously, cursing was a sin, but it did not stop her from saying, I'll slap the cuss out of you. I'm like, and then in hindsight, it's kind of like, girl, you might as well have just said what you wanted to say. But yeah, so
That's so good. That's good for me. Because we
that's
used to have this thing when I was a church girl as well. Me and my girlfriend Ashley. Hey Ash, I know she watches. We used to always say, "Well, what if we go to heaven and we find out there was no cuss words? Like, what if we find out this whole time our parents was telling us that we couldn't cuss, and we get up there, God is like,
that's
that
so
was fine
funny.
anyway." So just throw a couple in there for razzle dazzle because it might be okay anyway. But we gotta talk about this one. This is the last one we'll talk about from the book. Mr. Miles
Okay.
and Miss Shirley, who said Miles couldn't have no company at that time at his 31-year-old age. I'm sorry, but Miles doesn't have company this late. Huh? But Miles is 31. So was this a real 31 or was that a fake number in the book?
No, that was a real one, and I'm not sure why he even tried. I don't even know why he would have taken me back to his mother's home when that sweet woman came out with her robe on and was like, "Yeah, you need to send this little harlot on her way. Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up." So, and that's 100% his fault. We could have just ended the night. You didn't have to do this. Ah, yeah. Bless his and her
Why would he
heart. But
take you back
yeah,
to his
so
mother's house? He knows he can't have no
because they don't make good
company.
decisions. I guess he was willing to take the chance of like, there's a chance that I can get her in here and my mom won't hear anything. He was willing to like take a chance and it did not go well for him. But, stopped me dead in my tracks as soon as I walked in. So it was fine. Went on back home. I was embarrassed for him, but it was fine.
A lot of secondhand embarrassment there. But yeah, so that
Like,
y'all please go get this book. It is again, she wrote it a little while ago, but it's still very relevant. There is so much good stuff in this book. Like you were gonna get a good key out of this. It very much reads like you didn't get the chance to have a movie because you were a little black girl. Like this gives movie, but they don't want this from us just yet. This is why we have to make our own stuff because this really does.
mhm,
This book very much reads like a movie, but they don't like us in these kinda lighthearted, you're not an angry black woman. This
mhm,
doesn't give, 10 days later and I'm mad about it. It
mhm.
gives like 10 days later and like, we're gonna figure it out. So I encourage everyone to go get this on Amazon. And let's also transition a
Oh,
little bit so the writer is going to write. Let's talk a little bit about how you were featured on Essence and the piece you wrote on Essence and how, the transition from this book to your new happily ever after and
mhm.
your article on Essence.
Yeah, I mean, so for those who have read the book, the book ends with me, getting married. And, I say that this was the beginning of my happily ever after. And it's so funny because when I wrote the book, my idea for the book was for it to end with me still dating, right? For a number of reasons. One, because it would have like segued and transitioned into the second book of like dating in your 30s versus the first book, which was dating in your 20s. But that wasn't my reality then. And I am very big on just being open and like honest about like what is actually happening. So I changed the last chapter because I was engaged at the time. And so it was like, kind of like this perfect little bow on this book. But it was like, know that that's not a lot of women's reality. It doesn't just always end with this sort of like fairy tale ending where you end up married. Some women continue to date and some women travel and just all these different things that I wanted to have at the end of the book because I wanted it to relate to more people. But anyway, I did the book, ended it with me getting married, and then 2 years later I got a divorce. And I remember when I was getting divorced and like kind of going through the process, I was very, I don't know if embarrassed was the word, but I felt, honestly, I felt like a fraud because I had created this platform based on this wedding. I wrote this book and kind of like, you follow these steps and then you get married at the end and that whole bit. And so it was like I felt like I needed to, reintroduce myself and kind of give people an update, right? And some people will say, "Well, you don't owe anybody an explanation." I didn't, but I just wanted to be honest. I just wanted to be true the way that I had always been. Like I've shared all these dates, I've shared my wedding. Well, now there's been another transition, another big moment that I wanted to share with everyone. And so it wasn't immediately after, but it was just something that was placed on my heart. And I wrote this article, when I wrote the article, I didn't have anywhere for it to be published, right? I was just like, I have to like pitch it to people. And so I like did some digging. I reached out to a good girlfriend of mine, Kim, who like used to work in entertainment to see if she had any connections at Essence because that's where I really wanted it. And I literally just sent it. Once I got an email address, I just sent the article over and just was like, I'm a Black author. I just want to kind of share this perspective because one thing that I've realized, and I think even if just like if you get on social media, like there's so many videos and things that you see that are like a person's experience that we can all relate to. Like so we make a joke where you hear people say we're all living this same life. And so I knew that if I was carrying this like embarrassment and this guilt and this shame about divorce, there have to be other women who sort of feel the same way for a number of reasons. Mine was really rooted in the church and the way that I was raised, where like divorce is just as bad as murder and it's all the same and you shouldn't, so there was a lot of just heaviness that I carried that after a lot of like therapy and journaling, I wanted to release that. And so I wrote the article. I remember I sent it over to Essence and they wrote me back the next day. Like I remember the editor, whoever had that section at the time, wrote me right back and was like, "Oh, this is amazing. We're going to publish this next week." And they did, and it did really, really well. And I was really, really proud of it because I have to say it was probably the most vulnerable that I've ever been in my writing. Just to, say like I was embarrassed about this. I was ashamed and, I had to, I just wanted to like share that or whatever. So it went really well. I'm super, super proud of it. That's probably one of my like proudest moments, proudest things that I've ever like written and accomplished. Yeah, and so that was that. The article came out, it was on essence.com, and I share periodically. I think it's been about 2 years now, maybe 3. I think it'll be 3 years in May. But whenever divorce is in the headlines or anything, I make sure to, like, share it again, like, "Listen, everyone has been there." Not everyone, but people who have been through a divorce have been there, and there is a point where you just feel, not so great about it, and so, I'm glad I was able to write that.
When I read into the article, so y'all can check it out, it's called "Divorce is Not a Dirty Word." And I thought, like, when you said you felt like it was your most vulnerable piece, I felt it was very transparent. And you actually
Mhm.
started it off saying you realized that you had made the wrong decision one business day after your wedding. You basically
Immediately.
realized like something wasn't right, or it wasn't the right thing to do, like almost immediately, right? So looking back, and I honestly feel like that's the kind of thing I think probably if you look at the trajectory of everything, right? 10 dates later, the 11th date, you probably just felt like it was your time. And I'm sure he was a good dude, right? Because I had this situation a few years ago where it was like, yeah, it was a good dude. There was nothing wrong with him, but it wasn't for me, right?
Mhm.
So what do you have
Mhm.
to say for the girlies that are at this age who are feeling like, it's their time? They may find something good, but maybe it's just not good for them. Or take it a step
Mhm.
further, like, would you have made the same thing? Like, how would you have handled things differently now, knowing what you know?
Well, I mean, if I could do it all over again, knowing what I mean, I wouldn't have gotten married, but that goes back to what I was saying. I remember being one of those girls, like, I wanted to get married, right? And I felt like, as I said in the article, marriage was like a badge of honor, right? And so to be 32, 33, 34, and not married yet, it was like when he proposed, it was kind of like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. I have wanted to get married. Like, so there's that. So that's why I say, like, I don't even try to talk to women or and I would not try to convince them anyway, but you can't change a woman's mind who wants to get married. If marriage is like their goal, there's nothing reasonable that I can say, not even from my experiences, that's going to make them change their mind. So, even though it was not a good decision and it was not the best thing for me, I can say that once it was almost like once I got it out of my system, I was able to date so differently after that, right? Because I felt like when I was dating in my 20s, or like even when I met him, it's sort of like if marriage is always the goal, you don't even sit in just the normalcy of the relationship because you're just always trying to get it to the next level, right? You're not dating just to date, you're dating to get married. And I think
Date
there's
with
a huge
purpose.
difference.
With
There's a
purpose.
difference in like going out with a guy and you can just like enjoy his company, he's cool, versus like he seems really nice. I think this is it. And it's like, no, it's probably not. This might just be the guy that you go out with on Friday nights. This might just be the guy that that'll introduce you to new restaurants and museums. Like everybody is not meant to be your husband. But when you're dating in that way, you really can't even see people for who they are because you're so blinded by what you want, you know?
I think that's definitely a church thing too. I think that's one thing that we're definitely taught like early, like you're dating for marriage. And the weird part about
Mhm.
that is that that's not exactly what that means. Like when we're taught that, it's not taught that you're supposed to every person you're supposed to be trying to marry. You're really supposed to just be getting to know people. It's like more like get to know
Mhm.
people. And I think people dating and getting like dating is when you're in a relationship. It's okay to just date people, like you said, to find those type of things. But I would definitely say I
Yeah.
think that's one of those things when we have to like kind of reteach ourselves some of the things that we might have been taught a little bit
Yeah, for sure.
incorrectly in our youth.
It's a lot of unlearning of what was, instilled in us as we were growing up.
Okay. So we can take a little pivot to your newest business venture, Pen to Perfection.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Pen to
Why, what,
perfection.
how, when.
I'm a greeting card girl. I'm the person that can go in the greeting card store and stay for hours, just to find like the perfect card. And so, even when my friends' birthdays come and go, like I write really nice messages on like Facebook, and like some people will like make jokes and say you should make cards, but I had never really considered it seriously. And then, I worked for the federal government. There was so much happening last year. And I remember just feeling very uneasy, unsure if I was going to lose my job or, just all these things. And I remember praying about it and I was asking God to give me something, give me an idea, something that I really want to do, but I wanted it to be something that I would enjoy doing, something that I could continue doing, and something that would be a really good return on my investment. And the greeting card idea came to me, and I remember thinking like, okay, but I need to do something that's going to make mine different. What is going to make my cards set apart from everyone else's? And so the first thing was I wanted to make sure that I touched on topics that you don't normally see in the store. So like so my divorce card is not like I'm so sorry for your divorce, which is what most people say when they hear you're getting a divorce. It's like congratulations. Like this is an opportunity for a new life, a new beginning. This is a fresh start. I wanted to create cards for people to mend relationships. I'm a mediator by train. I'm a trained mediator, and so a lot of times when you hear people um, sort of arguing back and forth, a lot of times it's like one person just wants to be heard or just seen or just acknowledged, right? And it's like everybody is talking to respond, and nobody's really talking, but like nobody's really listening. And so the point of these sort of like cards to start these difficult conversations, um, things that you might have a hard time saying face to face or something that you can't quite find the right words to, like I've created these cards that kind of do the hard work for you. And then the other piece that I love so much is that on the back of each card there's a QR code that leads to a playlist of songs for the card. So if it's a birthday
Yeah.
card, yeah, if it's a birthday card, when you scan the QR code, it'll go to Happy Birthday by Stevie Wonder. And like the playlist will all be like birthday songs. So maybe something fun, depending on the content of the card. It might be like Beyonce 7-Eleven or what is it, Corinne Bailey Ray, put your records on. So just a playlist of songs to really
Mhm.
like capture the moment. Cause I know for me, I love music. And if you think back over your life, like good moments, bad moments, 9 times out of 10, there's a song that'll like jog a memory. Like you'll hear a song and it'll take you right back
Mhm.
to that moment when something was happening. Oh, this song reminds me that summer when we were doing X, Y, and Z. And this song reminds me of when I first met so and so. And so I kind of like put it all together in one. So in the back of the card, like I said, there's 2 QR codes. One goes to Apple Music, the other goes to Spotify. And it's all these beautiful playlists of songs that just reiterate the card's message. I love it so much. I think I was able to combine like 2 things that I love so much, words of affirmation songs that I love, and it's just all packaged together for you.
Yes, that is so good because I think I realized, well, my birthday's in September, and my mother's birthday is a week later, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know why this year I had a very difficult time finding a nice card, right? I couldn't find any card for
Mhm.
black people, and I couldn't find any good like religious cards, like any good spiritual cards, which are the two things you're typically
Mhm.
going to get, right? And my mother said the same
Mhm.
thing, that she had a hard time finding something for my birthday. And I was like, "Oh, it's probably because Trump doesn't like woke talk." And so I'm thinking like, did the greeting card industry like pivot and we just didn't know? Like, and I'm just being very
Mhm.
honest right now, right? Like this literally
Yeah.
happened. And we were like, it probably really is. Like, the idea of like he doesn't like anything that's woke. And we just say to him anything that's woke is black, right? And then so I'm
Huh.
looking at when I was at the drugstore and I was like, I wonder if greeting card companies are pulling back on, like, the mahogany
For
cards
their
and, like, all the things
messaging.
that give the diversity. Are they cutting back on
Mhm.
that because whatever their machine is, they don't wanna, get on his
Set
nerves and have a
him.
problem.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure if we had that experience, other people are, so this is so on time. And we are definitely at
Mhm.
the age where it is classy to go with a card. Even if you don't have a gift, a card is so classy, like, whatever the event is. So having a
Mhm.
Black-owned greeting card line, and I like that you
Yeah.
say that you do stuff for that are difficult to say, because you also realize, and I hope you have cards for people that you, like, aren't that cool with, like, if that makes sense, right? Because I realized I was
Mhm.
trying to find a card for someone else's family member, right? That I like, but
Mhm.
I ain't that cool with, right? But I just wanted to send him a little thing, but I didn't want to give him a dinosaur birthday card, but I also don't need to give you like the, "Oh, I love you so much" card. Like, there's gotta be something
Got
in the
you.
middle
Yeah.
between, like, I care about you, I wanna show up and celebrate you, but we ain't besties, but I don't hate you.
Right.
I mean, you get what I'm saying? So, tell everybody where they can find your cards.
Yes, so you can go to penned2perfection.com. So that's PENNED to perfection.com. I'm on Instagram, pin to perfection, with an underscore. And I'll be on Good Morning Washington this Friday, showing off the whole Valentine's Day collection line. And I have a couple of pop-ups coming up February 1st. I want to make sure I get this right. February 1st, I will be at Black Wall Street. There's this phenomenal, phenomenal pastor that I know, Pastor Keisha Green. She has First Sundays at this church on Old Branch Avenue. And so afterwards, there'll be like this Black Wall Street set up for like Black owned companies to sell their products. And then the following week, on the 7th, I will be at Another Level Cuts barbershop, and I wanna go to a barbershop because I know the guys are gonna wait to the last minute to get their card, so I'm like, "Just come meet me at the barbershop in New Carrollton and pick your cards up."
That is actually a really good idea, and this is such a good time. So everybody make sure y'all get y'all Valentine's Day cards from Pen to Perfection so you can get something that says what you
Yeah.
mean, that hasn't been
Mhm.
said in that way, and support us because we gotta support our own, and that's what we gotta
Mhm.
do. Okay, so real estate, you wanna tap on that a little bit? So you selling houses? What are you doing? Are we active?
Still so listen, now the interest rates are dropping, so now is a good time to sorta, like, tap in if you're looking. I work with Maryland Prime Realty, which is a Black-owned brokerage, Black woman-owned brokerage. Fantastic leadership right here in PG County and in Clinton, Maryland. So yeah, if you're looking to buy a home too, you can get your greeting cards and your houses. You can get them all from me.
That's right. One-stop shop for all the things. The last thing that I wanted to touch on, we already talked about this a little bit, about your
Okay.
unhingedness on social media, right? I love your threads. I love all the things, right? Because I think I saw you post something on MLK where somebody was complaining about not liking Martin Luther King Day or something, and he was like, "Well, she's going to work,"
Yes.
and I was like, "Okay, well that's it. That's the drop the pin moment." But at our age, again, we understand that there is a difference. Once you hit 40, I would say once you hit like about 38, things start getting a little bit different for us, right? So I always like to
Mhm.
talk to my peers about how they are tackling the social media things and the technology things, right? So we already talked about we talked about this real funny one there. I saw you posted something about, like, do you delete this? I think it was on your other podcast. Like, when you stop dating a man, do you delete like all his pictures? Like, how does that go? Like I mean, I guess the same
Mhm,
thing for like friendship breakups. Do you delete those pictures? Just talk to me a little
mhm.
bit and any advice you have for you're a serial entrepreneur at in your 40s. What kind of like social media branding, growth and business development advice do you have for the girls to go out and chase their dreams and do some things?
Well, I probably need to take my own advice and stop writing so many crazy things on threads. I think I forget sometimes that people can see what I respond on threads because people are so outrageous on there. Um, but I think my advice would be for anyone who was like, small businesses and entrepreneurs are trying to figure out what they want to do, trying to find something. It's honestly very similar to what I said for women dating in their 30s. Like you need to do something that you love. You need to do something that you really like, something that you really enjoy. So when I make the cards, like that doesn't feel like work to me. Like I'm so excited about it. Like it is something that is already a part of my brand if I have one, right? So I think me making greeting cards falls right. Like if somebody knows me, that makes sense. That's not like something so far fetched. And that doesn't mean to like not try new things, but I think it's important to like just hone in on those things that you do well already and figure out how to make them work for you. I've always loved to write. I've always wanted to be a writer. So writing greeting cards is something that's going to just always come naturally to me. And then also, so like I do well, I write the cards, I create the cards, I come up with the images and everything, but like my organizational skills are not the best or like pitching and selling things. So tap into your friend groups, like the people that you know and you love who are good at those things. One of my best friends, Tasha, um, did sales for years. And so, she's on board as like the director of sales and like, trying to acquire contracts. I have another very, very good girlfriend who does websites. And so she was able, Erin was able to create the website for me. So, it's like knowing what you do well, hone in on that, but also acknowledging what you don't do well and getting help when you need it because it's hard, especially if you want to really grow your brand and you want your business to grow. You can't do it all on your own. And so it's important to like, tap into those skills and those friendships and those resources that you have right in your circle and see how they can like help you get to the next level.
That is great. So tell everybody how they can reach you, and please do not stop. I would say stop tweeting. I don't know what they call it on Threads, but whatever you're doing on
What do they
Threads,
even call it
keep
on
doing it.
threads?
Don't stop. That is going to be your thing. Threads, you're a writer. I didn't realize so many people. Yeah, I just started getting a little bit active on Threads. Right, that's your bread and
Mhm.
butter. That's you right. So get on Threads and keep talking the way you talk because that's how you're going to get people to come to you because you're hilarious. So don't change anything
Thank
about you. Don't change anything about your social media presence. Don't change any of it because it's so good. It's so on brand for who you are. It's so authentic, and it's
Oh,
just like people tap into Lillian's social media so you really see the real her. Because I feel like you give a lot of really who you are, specifically on Threads. So let the people know on all you have so much social media. You got websites on websites. Let everybody know all your social media handles. I will also drop it in the description so everybody how people know how to reach out to you.
okay, so your Instagram is so my personal page is just Lil with an underscore. And then Pin to Perfection. I mentioned that one. That's for the cards. I also have one for the book, but that's mainly like dating memes, funny sort of things there. That's 10 dates later. Um, what else? So I told you about the website. I am on Threads. I believe that's just Lil.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not that active on TikTok. I'm trying to do better there. I think that's another thing of like getting older, like not you just trying to stay in like what I'm comfortable with. But I do think I need to get a little bit more active on TikTok.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you staying and working with me through all of these technical difficulties we had. Appreciate your patience. And I just wish
No
all good
problem.
things for you. Like you are such a beautiful person. Like
Um,
every time I've
oh,
had the opportunity to come in contact with you. You are just like a light, just a beautiful person. And I just pray that you continue
Oh,
to be blessed. Pray all your endeavors are blessed. RJ, bring him out in his outfits. So glad you got that beautiful blessing. I'm glad life is doing well for you. And I just hope,
oh, thank
all good
you.
things for you, y'all. So please, y'all, check in with Lillian. Check her out on Saturday, or is it this Saturday or this Friday on Good Morning Washington? It's
It's
Friday?
this Friday on Good Morning Washington, yep, and then this Sunday is the first pop-up at Black Wall Street.
Okay, so we're gonna check her information will be on the description and make sure you comment, like, share, and subscribe because that's the key. Thank you, y'all.